So, here I am. Once again, I find myself in your house. I'm just lucky that there's a church so close to one of our houses of hospitality. And here I am, once again, God, your faithful servant, Dorea. Who would have thought that in 1933, when we started selling those newspapers, that it would come to where we are today? It was May Day, and there was so much happening in the world. The May Day celebrations in Moscow were a celebration of the Communist Revolution and the power and might of the empire. Celebrations in Berlin that year were a celebration of the Third Reich, and in Great Britain, the labor movement. And so Peter Morin and I decided on that May Day to go and sell the Catholic worker newspapers for a penny. And I suppose that there was a lot of mistrust with what we were doing, considering the Catholic Church had for so long been suspicious and against socialism and communism. And yet, we sold papers. We sold a lot of papers that day, God. And let's be honest, there was so much need. The stock market crash of 1929 and the subsequent unemployment led to so much poverty. 1 in 5 people were unemployed. 20% of the population couldn't find work. Thousands of farmers were facing foreclosure. It had gotten so bad that farmers had taken to dumping their milk along the side of the roadway because what they were being paid wouldn't even cover the cost of taking it to market. And at our Catholic workers' houses, lineups around the block, thousands of people waiting for help. I thank you every day that our neighbors came through. Our neighbors didn't mind when the people waiting in the cold started fires on their lawns. Our neighbors who helped us when we didn't have anything to feed those who were hungry. They brought their leftovers so that we could use them to feed people who needed it. There's so much need. I know, God, that you have always given me a heart that has been concerned about other people. I remember back in 1908 when we lived in Oakland and the San Francisco earthquake hit. The devastation. And people were shocked at the amount of death and devastation. And what was I shocked at? I was shocked at the care and compassion that so many people had for their neighbors. You have always shown me how to be compassionate. When we lived in Chicago, when I was a young person, and I would walk through the meatpacking district, I read Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, and that book touched me so much because it was about that area of Chicago. And as I walked through that area, I could feel myself as part of that community. I could feel that these people were important. And I had empathy and compassion for them. And that came from you. I have not always been a person of religion. Sure, my parents, they were raised in the Protestant church, but we didn't go to church. They never claimed to be religious people. And so I grew up not understanding who you were, having no concrete examples of what faith meant in the world. And then I remember going to visit my friend and her mother, Mrs. Burnett, walking in and seeing Mrs. Burnett on her knees praying to you, seeing the depth of her faith and her love for you. And I remember seeing that and going home that night and saying, I need to pray like that, and getting down on my knees in my bedroom before bed, because that's what a true relationship with God looked like. And so as I did that, I forced my sister to do the same thing. And so there were the two of us playing at praying. Yeah, Mrs. Burnett was my first experience to Roman Catholicism. And I look back on her and I can remember that that is why I came to be where I am today. Because as I got older, I had a friend who asked me to go to Sunday Mass with them. And I went to Sunday Mass. And the structure and the liturgy touched me deep in my soul, and I came to know you. I came to feel connected to you. And so that's why you find me here today. Because I pray every day. You know that. And I read the Psalms every day so that I can continue to be connected to you. There are so many people in this world that would say I am just a radical, that I'm just committed to radical politics and that's all. And I would admit that in some sense they're right. I've been arrested a couple of times, yes. But those times in my life have changed me. In 1917, I remember well the march on Washington, D.C. with the suffragettes. And we were all arrested. Spent 30 days in prison. And we were radical because the first day we were there, we started a hunger strike. But you know how much that transformed me. You know how that changed me. Because of that experience, I have felt now like I would never be free again. In seeing the way that those people were treated in prison, the way that I was treated in prison, like we were treated as less than human. That was a turning point. And I vowed that I would never stop until everyone felt the true nature of your love in the world. Because of that experience, I came to understand, at least in some small way, the plight of the oppressed and the poor. You see, what I really learned was that it is people that matter, and love of people. My daughter Tamar, who is the love of my life and will always be the love of my life. My ex-lover, who couldn't understand my faith, who couldn't understand my desire to be baptized with my daughter, and forced me to make a choice. I will love them till the day I die, with a passion that is deep within my soul. But when I look at the Bible and the Gospels, I see a radical love embodied in Jesus. And I truly believe that this is what we are called to be as Christians. We're not called to just be the kind of Christian that goes to church on a Sunday and lives the rest of our lives in a bubble. We're not the kind of Christian who is supposed to throw a banquet and not even bother to invite the poor. We are called as Christians to live a deep, deep life in God and Christ. And in doing that, we become aware of the plight of people around us. God, I know that we are not called to do things for the poor. We are actually called to do them for ourselves. Because in doing these things, we can better see you. In doing these things, we come to see you in every person we meet. I'm longing for a different world, God. A world that is based in love and your community. And until we have true community in God, with God around us and in us and through us, we will continue to struggle with social issues and problems. It's only in you and your love can we learn to enlarge the boundaries of who we understand we are and what it means to love. For in the face of the others, in the face of the lonely and the poor and the marginalized, that's where we truly find your face, God. So I suppose you have brought me to a place where I recognize this deep feeling within me, this deep desire for a connection with you and an empathy for the people around me, and the understanding that faith is a call to action. Faith is a call to love that challenges us to a radical inclusivity of all. And as we come closer to loving you, God, as we come closer to loving those around us, we come closer to being with you. God, I am not a holy person. I am only someone who is trying to love